Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. We are the Real Short Box live. Thank you for joining us. We don't have any names right now, so my name is Donald.
My name is Jarrett.
Hey,
My name is Chris.
Cool, Chris and Kevin speaking at the same time. It wouldn't be a podcast if it wasn't for that.
Crap.
Hey, I was first.
That's
You
true.
got me off.
We'll go alphabetical order, so if either one of you doesn't speak at one point, Chris should always speak first, and then Kevin. That way it becomes
I like that rule.
alphabetical. Good rule? Good rule. All right. So let's get started here. Kevin, let's do some introductions. I'm going to do some stuff in the background here. I might look busy, but I'm doing important things, guys. I promise you. So let's get rocking and rolling.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the most delightful, colorful, and always brainy podcast today, The Real Short Box. And let me start first by introducing to you the president and chairman of Rumble Spoon Productions and executive producer of the Real Short Box TV show live stream. He is Bruce Campbell's #2 fan. He was the 2000 Kent State University Mr. Beefcake. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the original Donald.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, everybody. Thank you. Very important.
He is originally from the great state of Michigan, but now resides in the great state of Texas. He is the Casanova of the Lone Star State. He is the teacher of future thespians of Hollywood and Broadway. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, he is lovable and huggable, Professor Chris D. Turner.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
And last but not least, he is the man of the people, a man who grew up in the shadow of Skywalker Ranch. He was and still is the 2021 Best Daddy of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, the president and CEO and Luke Cage fan clubs, Sweet White Chocolate. He is Jeremy. Oh, you got a lot of power. You got a lot of power, sir. And of course, I am your humble podcaster, the Grand Master of the Jedi and Vulcan Arts, your Supreme Chancellor, Dr. Kevin. Yes. Yes.
Hey, we've got some people popping in. Megamouth Spike, thanks for joining. Enrique, good to see you. Scorch, nice to see you as well. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. And ladies.
Can you hear
Yeah, Scorch. Frank, let us know if you can hear all of us. I'm going to speak, followed by Jarrett.
Hi, I'm speaking now.
Followed by Chris.
You're muted.
Stay. Hi, how you doing?
Okay. Followed by Kevin.
Hello, brothers and sisters of podcast land. Welcome to the show.
Great.
So please, for the love of God, let me not be just a talking face right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can hear you well. There is an echo. That's okay. We'll deal with the echo. Echo.
Echo. Hey, Echo! Wasn't that a character on the Hawkeye and what's the lovely lady's name?
Gonna get her own series, by the way.
Yes, Echo's in her own series.
I rather enjoyed her. I thought they did a good job with that character.
Yeah, she was good.
I thought so too. Does she deserve her own series? I don't know necessarily if that's the case, but whatever.
Well, they are
really her own series.
Are you hating Donald? Are you hating on Echo?
No, Marvel's just getting weird. They're doing, what is it, El Muerto, a character who's been in like 2 comics of Spider-Man?
Yep.
And he's getting his own movie? Like,
I mean, the way I look at it, yeah, it's Echo, but it's Daredevil. It's like the back door into Daredevil. That's what the way I look at it.
You're probably right. However, it's good for her to get her own show.
Sure.
Hey, it's Marvel's getting a TV show in less than 10 years from her comic book debuting.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned though, because remember back in the day I said I'm curious how they're going to do her powers because she's morph and shape-shifting.
Shape-shifting, stretching.
And they're doing something I don't know yet. I'm not going to say any judgments because I haven't seen it yet. But what they've shown so far is it's like energy powers, and I'm like, please don't change her whole power set. And the rumor was the reason they might have done that is because they want to introduce Mr. Fantastic, who is the stretchy guy. But at the same time, like, come on, no, don't. Other people can have stretchy powers, and her power is way different than his. Like, I don't know. I hope, like I said, I haven't seen anything yet. I'm just hoping they don't abandon that because that's her powers. Like, come on.
Yeah, the Marvel show I'm waiting to come out is Moon Knight because I haven't seen the Moon Knight show yet.
I thought it came out a month and a half ago.
It's been coming out. It's been.
I think he's referencing. I don't know if you saw. I did a map not too long ago, and I said, "Gee, it sure would be nice to see Moon Knight in that Moon Knight show."
Oh no, that's terrible.
I mean, they're taking their sweet time with or not taking their time. They're just not giving us the time. They're just giving us the time.
Couldn't you? Is this an apple to orange comparison? You know how Daredevil in the first season really didn't see the actual costume until the last episode, or this is like
Somebody in the Lucas page brought that up, and they said at least it's not 12 episodes to build you up to like seeing the costume, which I totally agree with. But for some reason. It was enough. I don't know. Maybe because I got Kingpin and stuff like that. But and yeah, at the same time, like just put their costumes on. Like they're superheroes. Put their costumes on. Like let us see their costumes. Come. I don't even know why I have to. It sounds stupid. Like I have to say. It's like please put Spider-Man in his costume. Like what if we got like 80 minutes of Peter Parker and then the last 20 was like Spider-Man costume? Like that would be stupid. That would be dumb.
That would be dumb. That would be dumb.
We're not talking about that. What are we talking about today, Kevin?
We are talking about our favorite castles, Jared. You know, in some of our backgrounds, you can already see certain castles. And also, I think, Jared, you made it clear that you want to say it yourself. We're not just doing castles, we're also doing...
Castle de la Dawn. Right here, Castle de la Dawn.
We're doing...
Oh, yes, Castle de la Dawn. That's right, Castle de la Dawn.
It's
It
filled.
didn't make it to our you can see the image right there. It's right behind Dawn.
Yeah.
We're not just doing castles. We've expanded it to also include palaces and fortresses because they represent kind of huge structures or bases, so to speak, for these characters.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're going across all media, from movies to TV shows, our favorite cartoons. Oh,
We got a set here.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Hey, buddy.
Look, River looks like He-Man, by the way.
Hey, River, do you have the power?
River, can you say I have the power? Can you say I have the power? No.
No.
Oh.
It's okay. Next time, buddy.
Donald wished he had the power.
I do have the power, Kevin.
He's going to hang with us for a little bit. You want to hang for fun?
That's all right.
Oh.
This is a fun one. This is kind of an all-ages one, really.
This is good. So look, we got our new 5th member hanging out today. Look at that.
See Castle Grayskull behind me? Yeah, we're talking about our favorite castles. River likes to play with my toy Castle Grayskull quite a bit, don't you?
What's wrong with
Oh.
that?
Yeah. Just have him hang here until no one comes. All right. So,
Where's your kid, Chris?
hey, bud. Yeah, nobody else is going to bring on a kid. All right, say bye, River. You want to say bye?
Say bye.
Say bye-bye.
I have the... Come on, River. I didn't scare him, Kevin. I have the same skin tone. My great nieces, they were in the car, and my niece got out to kind of push the car because they were stuck in the snow, and my dad got behind the wheel to drive, and we got him pushed that he was able to break loose then and get out, but he couldn't stop at the top of the road, so he had to keep going and then turn around down the street. So he pulled out and left, and they were like, "What the hell is happening? You just kidnapped us," and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, and my dad's like, "I'm just taking you down the street. I promise. Look, I'm turning." Yeah. Okay, can everybody hear? I just want to check again. Can everybody hear Chris, Kevin, and Jarrett? I just want to make sure. So, Kevin, say hello. Chris, say hello. No, you're fine. Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure. So it looks like everybody fell silent except for me when I put my headphones on. So we're still having some technical issues that I hate this shit so much. I'm gonna be honest, guys. So I'm just gonna take these off. Okay, can everybody hear me?
No.
You see, this is why you don't want monopolies. There are only two companies that have the internet.
Can you guys hear me?
Provide internet service. ISPs, they're called. Should be more like 5 of them out there at least.
Wait, what changed with Donald's? Because we were hearing each other fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's stuff he was doing with his earpiece.
With the earpiece? Oh, okay.
We should not have done it.
So now he can probably hear us and we can't hear him.
Yep.
So something with the headphones? Oh, when they're in, you
so
can't do anything. Oh.
Gotcha. That Scorch says this program has gotten hacked by the Russians who hate nostalgia.
Apparently.
Possible. Well, maybe we have to negotiate with Putin to leave us alone.
I'm half Ukrainian, so maybe that's what it is.
Oh, that must be the issue. They actually knew. They knew about your Ukrainian heritage. Oh, no.
This is bullshit. Fuck you, Putin.
All right, he said 1 moment. I think he's going to switch out.
Well,
I heard you.
Says he can hear all of us, but we can't hear him. Yeah, I can hear us.
Nobody
I just
can
went to
hear me,
YouTube.
right?
I could hear
Nobody
us.
at
I
all.
can't hear you, Donald, but I can hear us. And I can hear us on YouTube, but that's a good sign.
Yeah, according to Enrique, said he could hear us and he could hear Donald too.
So I guess if
good.
we just ignore Donald, we could just have our show.
Ah, that's true. How shameful that would be too.
We could just say, Donna, put another picture up.
Well, I guess I am the backup executive producer. Had to give sign language. All right, 1 minute. Okay, 1 moment. Looks like he figured something out.
He's going to write out every.
Are there any new
Go on.
flavors coming in from your brother's company, Chris?
Save yourselves. Oh, no.
Is there any what? Any what, Kevin?
Oh, any new flavors coming in?
Not yet. Not yet. He's working on some stuff.
So, I mean, should we just talk about the castles and then you'll put them up?
Donald, the people can hear you. We just can't hear you.
Right.
Yeah, people can hear you, but
So
we can't
when it's
hear you.
my castles, I will
You could talk, hypothetically.
Oh, he sounds like a monster. I can kind of hear him. He sounds like a monster again.
Okay. Well, this is just the way it is. So
All right.
when it's my
So,
All right, so I'm just going to talk for 2 hours. I'm just going to take this opportunity, and I want to talk about all of the castles. The rest of you guys can take a nap for a bit.
All right. So, Kevin, you want to start out then?
All right. So as long as Donald can hear us,
You can hear it.
let's start out. Yeah, as long as he can hear us. Okay. So as long as he can post a picture, then we'll start. So you know what? Let's start with
yes.
you, Chris. Let me see. We start. Yeah, let's start with you, Chris. That castle behind you, is that what I think it is?
I don't know. What do you think it is?
It looks like Winterfell.
That is correct. It is Winterfell. It is what I
All
feel
right.
is the coolest castle in Westeros. I mean, literally the coolest because it's cold. I don't know. I think it's it's pretty fortified. They were able to protect it mainly against the undead army.
For people who don't know anything about this, and I know most people do, what show is this from?
Oh, this is from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
But not even from the show, but from the book itself. It's really cool in the way it's described in the book. It's the most traditional castle out of all of the different castles in. There's some cooler looking castles like the Eyrie and stuff like that. But the thing about this castle that I really enjoy, like I said, you can't really see it too much in the background, but it's like I said, it's in a snowy, more like it's in the north. It looks more of a traditional type medieval castle, and the coolest family lives there, of course, and so it's really cool in the fact that you can. There's at one point in the people jump off the walls, and there's so much snow that they're able to jump off the very top of the walls and survive because there's just so much snow there, they have dire wolves around the castle, which is pretty cool. And it was shot in Scotland or Ireland, Northern Ireland. So that's pretty cool and it's beautiful. So you can't go wrong with Winterfell.
No.
It looks like just the basic setup behind you looks like an evil Hogwarts. It looks like the adult Hogwarts, where they would the administration would be. They'd be like, yeah, this is the serious place, not for you kids. All right.
Yeah, this is also not the Winterfell from the show. This is the Winterfell based on the book.
Oh.
The description of the book, which is a little bit different than what the Winterfell we see in the movie. The Winterfell we see in the movie is a little more dingy, a little more rundown. This is more of a majestic stone, winter medieval castle. And you don't really get that as much in the show.
Right.
The TV show.
All right.
All right. So let's go to you, Jared. The castle behind you. Let's talk about castle.
The castle behind
Greyskull.
me. Hang on one second. The castle Greyskull hang on one second, I'm sorry.
No problem.
The castle behind me, Castle Greyskull, is near and dear to my heart. It's one of the it's obviously the castle from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I grew up here's a perfect example of how cool this castle is. My kid, one of my kids, my 10-year-old, she called it a dollhouse because I have a Castle Greyskull in my little toy room area, and she was like, "Oh," she's like, "This is cool. It's like a dollhouse," and she's like playing with all the stuff, the secret trapdoor and all that, and she goes, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, this is the He-Man's castle, or like the good guy's castle," and she goes, "This is the good guy's castle," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's true. It doesn't really look like welcoming or like, hey, there's a cool sorceress in here and she's nice and we're all having a good time and learn about the secrets of Castle Greyskull." It looks horribly evil. Now, granted, Snake Mountain, where Skeletor lived and all that, just as sinister, but like, I don't know. Castle Greyskull is a badass castle because it looked kind of terrifying. And as a kid, you're like, oh, this is like a serious thing to like take. You took it seriously. It wasn't just like some happy Disney castle. Another thing that was cool about it is obviously the toy was so awesome. You had to like, it had trap doors in it. It had ladders. You can go up to different rooms. It had elevators. It was just such a cool toy and representation of the castle. And of course, every cartoon, He-Man took out his sword and said, "I have the power," in front of it and turned into He-Man. Yeah.
Also, She-Ra, if you notice, when she would do her incantation, you would see she would always say, "For the honor of Greyskull."
That's right.
And you would see Greyskull in the background, and then you would see the lady. I forgot what the name of the castle on Etheria was called, but you would see both in the background.
Right.
And she would do her thing.
Now,
I was kind of jealous of She-Ra back in the day too.
Yeah.
Not a spoiler, but the thing I like about the new show is the fact that you get a lot of Castle Greyskull in it. Like you're spending a lot of time there.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
I know you guys can hear me and they can't.
In the new Masters of the Universe. So I really enjoy that. Yeah.
In the new Netflix series, they delve way more into it, and yeah, you see the real mysteries of it and the creatures that's the thing too. There's like creatures that live inside it, and like it's like it's not a safe place too. That's the thing. It's not like a place where you can just like hang out. Like it's like more like the sorceress is tied to it, so she kind of has to stay there. So whoever the sorceress is has to kind of live in it and protect it.
Is it similar to Bran in Game of Thrones, or no, sorry, not Bran? Oh my goodness, help me out here, Chris. It's been a while since I've watched it, but his predecessor, how he's like attached.
The three-eyed crow.
Three-eyed crow. Three-eyed raven. There it is. Three-eyed raven.
Oh yeah, raven.
Three-eyed crow. He's all like attached to, the binds. He can't go anywhere.
I think it's a little bit different. It's more of like they're keeping the magic going for the castle, and it's like a tether thing more than it is. But similar, I guess. If he leaves the tree, he can't see the time anymore. So it's similar but different.
And they talk about the kind of curse of it more in the Netflix series because He-Man fans knew that the Man-at-Arms and the Sorceress were once together and they had Teela, and the sorceress pretty much had to abandon her kid because she was like, well, I'm a sorceress and I have to live here, and this is my duty, and I'm sorry, but you're on your own, kid. And they talk about that too, without giving spoilers if you haven't watched the show, but they definitely go way into that on the Netflix show. Highly recommend it. Who's that?
That's cool.
All right, Donald's going to talk.
Yes,
right.
I'm going to talk. So basically it's so I don't get interrupted by these goofballs. They can't hear what I'm saying, I guess. But I can hear what they're saying, which is kind of cool because I have this special power. I lord over them, and they have no idea what I'm saying. So Kevin smells like poop, and Jarrett, he drinks his own pee.
Hi, what's up, Evan?
And
Good
Chris
to see you.
watch,
And also
so-
Alex Banquita. Thank you for joining us, brothers.
Kevin, he's talking.
I'm talking, Kevin.
Also, Donald, 42.
I will slap your mouth. I'm speaking. I'm talking. Shut it. All right. So when we're talking about Castle Greyskull, what I
know
want
what
to
he
say
said there.
really quickly is that the way Kevin Smith talked about the series, I thought it was like the way it was written, the way he wrote it, the way he came up with the idea, overall arch. It was really cool, and I appreciate that very much. I really liked, again, I'll say it, I really liked what they did to Moss Man and the rest of the gang. Yes, what they did with the Sorceress and Man at Arms, I thought was really cool too, Jarrett. So definitely something that that I think we're going to get more of as the series progresses. But we'll see. We'll see what goes on. Hey, Evan. Nice to see you, buddy. I cannot hear the other guys can't hear me talk. So I can hear them and I can talk to you, but they can't hear me. So I have to have them completely quiet when I'm talking. Otherwise, they just talk all over me and nothing will be said. So it's just a technical issue we're working through to hiccup on the road to getting this whole thing fixed. It's a new laptop that I'm dealing with, so new programming and stuff, and that's why it's been a little hinky the last couple weeks. So I do apologize. Thank you for your patience. And
so I got it. You were handing it back to us? Okay. So just for you people, because I know you can all hear us, thank God. We can't hear Donald. We can hear Kevin and I and Chris can hear each other. But when Donald talks on our end,
he just explained that.
Yeah. No. But on our end, what we hear is it sounds so demonic, and you're talking so casual, so it's so weird. You're like, and it's like
it's just like a.
I don't. I feel like I have to perform an exorcism or something. You know.
It's so evil sounding and joyous at the same time. So, Donald, do you want to talk about a castle and just text us which one it is, and then?
Well, I'm watching the YouTube. I can hear him on YouTube when he talks. So
there we go.
It's a little delayed, but I can at least get a gist of what he's saying.
It's a workaround. Yeah. So we're gonna.
Donald's gonna do one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do the first one. I'm gonna do. I think is a really important castle to me. It's near and dear to my heart. I don't know why not more people think of this castle when they think of castles. I'm talking about Tirceline. I don't know if you guys know what Tirceline is. If anybody in the chat knows, please state what I'm talking about, because it's super cool. It's a super cool castle. One of my personal favorites. This is from a particular movie. Anybody? Anybody at all from the particular movie? If I talk like this in my low demonic voice, Jarrett, maybe that will make you laugh more. There we go. So this castle, guys. Evan, no, it's not Lord of the Rings. I'm just going to give it to you guys because I really want to talk about it. I'm chomping at the bit. Hey, Alex, thanks for joining, by the way. Sorry I didn't say hello earlier. We're talking about Willow. This is from the movie Willow, guys. This is the castle that Willow ran to with Mad Mardigan when they were fighting the forces of Bavmorda. Now, it's an interesting thing because when they got to the castle, it was overrun with trolls, and they were trying to basically defend this whole entire castle with just 2 people, which is amazing, all the while being harassed by a couple of trolls. And little do we know, when they use magic to kind of melt them and kick them into some water, that it turns into a big dragon-like creature, which is so cool. One of my favorites since I was a little kid, and I'm so glad that the Disney Plus series is going to happen. So definitely, Tirceline is one of my favorites. You know, later we get to see the kind of the queen witch, or whatever you want to call her, Raziel, who was at one point a possum. We get to see her, which is super cool. Turned back into a human. She's an older lady then, and she goes back to the castle, and kind of they start this whole King Arthurian type of thing again with the whole castle. Scorch says Willow hated being mistaken for a small child, and Alex says small children hated it more. So I'm sure they did. Both of you guys are correct there. So yeah, Tirceline, guys, I love it. The fact that they were able to defend this whole castle basically against a whole horde of Bavmorda's evil minions is super cool, super fun, and I can't recommend Willow enough. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend checking it out. It's amazing. So that's it. I am good.
Oh, it's so good. It's like hearing it's just like being in like the 7th level of hell and just hearing like Satan like give us a monologue and be like,
Yeah. So Willow, that was a good one. That was a good choice.
By the way.
All right, I think it's my turn, right, to talk about a castle?
Yeah, sure.
All right, how about this? The Castle of Lions.
Now, is that just a castle that it's like a bunch of lions live in?
Well,
Or is it a castle where you go and you lie? Like, so you're lying? Is it the castle of lying? But you're like being all hip, so you're saying lion instead of lying?
Or they're like,
no, it's Lions, the Castle of Lions. You see, this is one of my favorite castles growing up. Now, Voltron, for the TV show Voltron, this is where it was basically the headquarters for the Voltron Force, and it was on the planet Eris. And the castle also doubles as a spaceship, which is pretty cool. I remember later on during the show, it actually converted it into a spaceship, and it would take off, and it went to Planet Doom, or the Galgra Empire, as it's called in the original show, and on the new series on Netflix to do battle. So I thought it'd be cool if you had like this castle, this fortress that could double as a spaceship. How awesome would that be? And at the same time, the thing I always wish I had as a kid was when the 5 pilots would go to their battle stations. Basically, they would do it to the castle, and they would just go into each section, and then they would get to their respective lines. Now I haven't seen all of like the Netflix show. I haven't barely gotten through it, but I remember on the original Voltron show, the lines were situated in different parts of the planet. So the red line was like in a volcano, there's like lava everywhere around it. The blue line was in under sea and water. The yellow line was in the desert. The green line was in the forest, and of course the main, the black line was like in a statue. It's kind of like petrified, and all of a sudden it would be unpetrified, and then it'd be operational. I always thought to myself, this is like one of the coolest places to have not only a castle, but just a way to have your base of operations. I mean, it's so cool. You can't ask for anything more. And it could take a beating, too. So anytime they would come and attack the planet, they would attack the castle. It had like a cool defense system. So you have these random guys who I didn't know were part of the castle. They would come out in their little, guns and turrets and start, shooting down, the evil spaceships. And then, of course, when the road beast would come, then obviously you got to dispatch the Voltron force and their lines to take it on, because obviously the road beast will just run rampant. But to me, this is one of like the coolest, castles out there from at least the 1980s.
I remember watching Voltron, and I barely remember anything. I just remember it was cool, and the lions making Voltron. But the fact that a castle or a base can turn into a spaceship too is pretty
awesome.
Goddamn badass. That's
yeah, man.
That's really cool. It's like, hey, look at my house. Now it's a gun turret and it can shoot and fly places.
Yep.
And
awesome.
go.
I just wanted everybody to be quiet so I could say some nonsense, because they can't understand what I'm saying. So again, I just want to reiterate that Kevin likes to sniff his own poo, and Jarrett drinks his own pee. Chris is fine. He just likes to watch. So I just want everybody to know that's the case. That's exactly what happens right before we start each podcast. I don't know why they do this. It's just a thing that they do. I can't help it. I can't stop it. It's just nothing I can stop, But I digress. This castle is pretty cool. It's got points to it. It's shiny in parts and smooth, and I think that the kids that hang out in there probably aren't abused, so that's nice. I really didn't watch Voltron when I was a kid at all. I'm going to be honest, I did not watch it at all. So I'm going to go back to these guys. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about that because I think it's great. So Back to you guys.
Now, I'm an expert lip reader, and what I think Donald just said, I know you guys heard it, but what I think he said was, fuck you, Kevin, Chris, and Jared. That's what he just said to us all.
No.
In that order.
He would never say that.
And then he said Amber Heard is right.
What?
He said, I am Team Amber.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I mean, that's what I'm assuming. I like to assume things. No? No. I was
I
wrong.
did not say that.
All right, agree to disagree. Chris, I think it's on you for your next one. I think you're muted for us now. There you.
I haven't tried talking yet.
We'll try.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What you got? What's your next
Now I'm
castle?
trying to talk. Well, Donald was close to what you said, Jared. He was basically wasting our time.
Oh.
He said that he never saw Voltron. Is what he said. So.
Oh.
Yeah. And he said the castle had some pointy ends. Somebody in the chat kept mentioning King Arthur, so let's talk about Camelot.
Is that a big
Good
one?
choice. Good choice. Good choice.
Camelot, the almighty Camelot. King Arthur is from there. King Arthur, depending on the story, some stories King Arthur built Camelot. Some stories Camelot's there, and he just becomes the king of Camelot. I'm thinking, what is it? First Night? Is it First Night where they build Camelot? I can't remember. It's more one of the movies where he becomes the king and then builds this Camelot on a mountain, on a mountain top. Can't remember which one it is. Yes, Alex, King Arthur lives there. Yes, we're finally. And so yeah, I mean Camelot. They made musicals about it. They've done lots of movies about it. You think of castle and you can't if you think of any kind of medieval knight castle, you can't think of the top ones you can think of are probably Camelot, or the Magic Kingdom castle from Disney World. So, or Snow White's or Sleeping Beauty's castle, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those castles that you see it and you're like, oh, that's Camelot, and then you think, okay, you think of castle in your head and you think of, oh, Camelot, of course. And so it's just you can't have a list of castles without mentioning Camelot. Yeah, it's kind of a boring looking castle, but it's an iconic castle, and so much stories have happened there, and so much magic and cool things. And Donald wants to say something, so I'm going to pass it to him.
Yeah. So if you have yet to see the BBC series Merlin, if you have yet to see that series, and I'm lip syncing it so they can see what I'm talking about, because the boys here can't hear me for some odd reason, but you guys can, and that's the most important part, that you, the audience, can hear me. So that's the most important part. But if you have yet to see 5 seasons of greatness called Merlin, that is the BBC series, it is amazing. First of all, the kid that plays Merlin should 100% have been and should still be a doctor from Doctor Who. He should be one of the doctors. He is so good. He's such a good actor. He's so quirky. I don't know how they haven't seen it yet or tried to fit him into that world. They had him in an episode. He played a passenger on a ship or something in one of the Doctor Who episodes, and I was like, this is our guy right here. This is our guy. And then, he was in Merlin. So if you haven't seen Merlin, I highly recommend it. The first season's a little bit whatever. It's still fun, but it's a little bit whatever. Second season starts out that way, but boy, does it get good. Third season's amazing. Fourth season's and fifth season's oh, don't go. And because they canceled it early, they were able to wrap it up. They were able to put something on the end of it to kind of make it nice little ending, a package deal, so to speak. But it's not nearly as good as it could have been had they been given the time to form a proper ending. But it still is a spectacular series, so I highly recommend it. Merlin is a mooch. He lived in Camelot and didn't ever pay rent. I think you're right, Alex. Princess Allura was a hater, says Alex. Ven didn't get injured. Princess Allura killed him to take his job. Well, that could be, I guess. It always could be that way. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to leave it into the capable hands of these gentlemen.
What I heard from that, once again, I'm an expert lip reader. I heard when he got close to the camera, he said, "I love poutine," and then he was talking about it to Canada, where he had the most amazing poutine, and it blew his mind. So was I off?
Donald, I also love Merlin. It's one of my favorite TV shows, and it's probably one of my favorite renditions of that of the Camelot and that world. So yeah, you're definitely right there.
Back in the day, they did an FX movie on Merlin with Sam Neill from Jurassic Park, and it was really good. I mean, it might be horribly dated now, but I remember it being really good too.
In the chat.
All right, so I'm gonna go now for mine. I'm gonna break the mold, and like as I said in the top of the show, we're doing palaces and fortresses. So I'm gonna go with our first palace of the night, and I'm gonna go with the fat man himself, the slithery, slobbery Jabba's palace, Jabba the Hutt. Now, not only did we were first introduced to this palace in Return of the Jedi, with those big door. I mean, it was a literal fortress, with the robot, the little droid coming out to meet R2-D2 and C-3PO. So I remember this place was just so foreboding because we were like, what is in there? And this big gate lifts up, and you go into the depths, and you meet Jabba and his cadre of evil, alien goons. So right away, it was just super menacing, not to mention you have the Rancor living beneath his, in the basement, I guess, of the palace. And then we got like a really big look at it in many different facets with the Book of Boba Fett. I just thought it was such, I don't think they kind of made it more in the Book of Boba Fett. It didn't have the luster it once had because it was like, obviously he was just kind of like squatting in it.
Yeah.
Squatters' rights for Boba Fett, for bounty hunters. But just in Jedi, like that scene and all the Jabba stuff, like opening into that, I remember just when I saw that in the theater as a kid, just being transfixed and like, what the hell is going on in this place? And like, it was cool and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you got Jabba, a fit for a king, a slimy, slithery king. So yeah, that's all I got to say on that one.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. Yeah, it's a cool place, a cool palace, Jabba's palace, and of course, he has his minions around him who back him up until, of course, they were taken out. But and then it got taken over, of course, in the Book of Boba Fett by Boba Fett himself.
Well, first Bib Fortuna, right? Bib Fortuna.
I'm sorry. Yes, Bib Fortuna first. That's right.
Yeah, I like that we got to see more of the fortress in Boba Fett, and like we got to explore other places we didn't get to see. So we only see a couple areas in Return of the Jedi.
That's right. We got to see the kitchen in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
We got to see the kitchen. I just remember that. With the droid cutting all the stuff, and then the other like rat catcher droid, which somehow became kind of an instant hit. Yeah, I just think it was it's just such a cool place in the middle of Tatooine and this desert, this evil fortress, which I wonder where they had to have big food deliveries because like for the month or like Costco deliveries or something, like whatever Star Wars Costco is, because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Everything in Tatooine is like the middle of nowhere. So
that's true. That's very, very true.
All right.
And speaking of which, staying in the desert theme, my next one is going to be the Black Pyramid from Thundercats, Mum-Ra's place of evil, his home.
That's a scary place.
Yeah, it's a scary place, but a cool place. Like, you imagine if you set that up like at an amusement park, you actually had like Mum-Ra's, the Black Pyramid Castle. That'd be freaking awesome. It's a place to visit if you're like when it was like a ride or something at a park.
I mean, there was a guy in my neighborhood growing up, and he had a house, and it was dark, and he would invite the kids in. And
okay, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good, Brother Jared. That's very scary.
He kind of looked like Mum-Ra before, like when he was like the old version, and it was before he made the transformation. It was dark. But apparently we don't have a pick for it, right? For Black Pyramid.
No, that's not true. No, it's in my set that I sent them.
If it is, that's not what it's named.
As a matter of fact, it is labeled. Yeah, it's labeled Black Pyramid.
What's the name for it?
Yeah, it's labeled Black Pyramid. But in any case, I'll still describe it as he looks for it. What's really cool about it is it's basically like a black pyramid, literally, and it's in the desert of sinking sands on Third Earth. And so what's cool is, and Jared and Chris, if you used to watch the show, you remember you had those 4 pillars, and what they were used for was to focus the energy. And every time, Mumra did his incantations and conjurings, and he's trying to call upon the ancient spirits of evil. So that's pretty cool too. And also it has a great defense system around it. So always has these kind of booby traps. And once you get inside, it has all kinds of secret chambers and booby traps and weird dark creatures that are roaming around. So if you're trying to get to the main center where Mumra's sarcophagus and his big, cauldron, magic cauldron is, it's tough. You have quite the obstacles to get through. So if I was the evil bad guy, that'd be a cool place to have, your base of operations. So, the good guys are trying to come after you. It's not going to be easy.
That was
go on, Chris.
That was lightning dogs, right?
Lightning dogs? Now, later on, he did have a dog called Mummut.
No, Thundercats? It was the show with Thundercats? Was that what it is?
Yeah.
I've never seen Thundercats. I hate to say it. That's one I've never
man.
Never really had a chance to see that one, yeah. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't think I've ever seen a full episode.
It's an 80s classic.
Yes, it's a great classic 80s cartoon.
Did Mumra ever explain why he doesn't just stay, powered up? Like, why he has to change?
I think it has something to do with the ancient spirits of evil that power up and turn him into, the big muscular version. I think after a certain period of time, he just loses the juice. You know what I mean?
You've got 36 hours, Mumra.
Yeah, something like that. Because that's true. He doesn't stay jacked up Mumra forever. Eventually, he has to turn back into, shrinkled up old Mumra.
And you remember Silverhawks ripped it off the same thing with Monstar.
Yep. And
Monstar. That one I know. I know Monstar.
Yeah.
Same voice actor, too. Same voice actor. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can tell.
It was literally, Silverhawks was literally Thundercats in space. Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much Thundercats in space.
And yet I love Silverhawks, so.
I know Monstar from the toys, though. Like, I had a Monstar toy, and he was my villain. Anytime we did anything, always the villain. 100% always villain.
There you go.
So I'm thinking.
All right. Speaking of Donald, it's his turn. So please bring up your next one, Donald.
This is Mumra's.
Let's talk about Mumra.
Yeah, this is Mumra's tomb right here, right? You said it's a pyramid. I think this is also where Nicolas Cage is going to be buried. It's actually in New Orleans, where Mumra must reside, I guess. And Kevin, you're completely wrong on the whole history of it. It's not in the desert anywhere. It's in New Orleans. It's a big white pyramid, and I guess it's where Mumra turns into Nicolas Cage and then uses his powers for his acting capabilities, I think is how that works. So that's the picture there that everybody was waiting for, and I'm sorry for the delay, guys, but that's it there. It's pretty cool. Chris and I have actually been there, and I think we both kissed the pyramid and then each other. It was awkward. I don't know. We were drunk. Anyway, kids. So moving on, this will be my pyramid now. So or my castle, I guess, my choice. So let's go to my choice here. I have another choice, another fun choice. I think it's fun. I don't care what everybody else thinks. Whatever. Kiss my ass. It's amazing. So I'm going with this one. It is Laputa, aka the Castle in the Sky. Now, this is a Miyazaki film. So this is from Studio Ghibli. And this whole film basically has to do with balance of the technological age with the culture of Japan or of the world in the history, and not losing one's own history to technology, finding a balance and a peace between the two so they both can coexist, which is what Japanese culture is basically all about, is finding a balance. That's what martial arts is about, finding a balance. So it makes sense that there's this balance, but there's this castle with this technology that was so advanced, but it flew it's like up in the sky, so it's hard to acquire. There's lore of treasure, so these pirates want to get, at it. These bad guys want to get at it. And then there's these good pirates that are actually trying to help this orphan girl and orphan boy kind of find their history, so to speak, because one of them has a tie to the castle in the sky. And whether that's her people or not, I'll leave that up to the decision of the viewer when they watch it, because I do think it is a fantastic film. I think it's the most, and I hate to say it, the most balanced of the films, of Miyazaki's films, when it comes to being able to just go in, watch it, and enjoy, and not think, wow, what is this shit? What the hell am I watching? Why does this old woman have a giant goddamn head? That kind of stuff. What is that cat talking? What does that cat want? It doesn't have that. It's just a little more normal and a little more fun. And if you watch the American version, it does have Mr. Luke Skywalker himself. So that's a little bit of a bonus also. Great film. James Van Der Beek's in it too, for those of you that don't want to wait for your lives to be over. Get it? Little Dawson Creek for you. I didn't like Spirited Away either, Alex. I didn't think it was very good. So thank you for approving of my choice. I do think this is an excellent one. But yeah, I didn't care much for Spirited Away either. I thought Spirited Away was a little bit bloated and a bit self-indulgent, to be honest, if I'm going to be real with you. But that's my second choice. It's my second castle, Laputa, aka Castle in the Sky.
So what I heard, once again, I don't know why. This is a weird time to do it, but Donald just told us the whole movie of American Beauty. It's just really just random. I mean, it's in the bag. I enjoyed it. That is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I thought the paper bag floating was beautiful too, and yeah, it was a great film for the time. Yeah, I thought it really helped cinema at that time. Kevin, do you have a castle?
Actually, it's Chris's turn.
Oh, that's right, Chris. Chris is muted.
I'm causing my own problems. Otherwise you hear this. So I'm trying not to make it sound like a breathing exercise here. Anyway, so I'm gonna say you guys are bringing up all these old fortresses. So I'm gonna bring up my own fortress, the Steel Fortress from my favorite comic book, Ninja Turtles, and we're gonna talk about the Technodrome.
Ah, yes.
Talk about Krang's fortress that they built to teleport to. Basically, Krang builds it so they can teleport back to his dimension, to Dimension X, and it becomes like a weapon of mass destruction. Depending on the version of it, look at the cartoon, the original 80s, 90s cartoon. It was not a weapon of mass destruction. It was a foible. But if you look at the comic books, you look at the newest computer animated TV show, not the rise of before that. That it was they used it wisely then, basically it was Krang and the foot. That's where the foot soldiers came from in the cartoon. The robots. That's where all the robots were made. It's interdimensional teleport thing. That they build to teleport. It's for Krang to go back to his dimension. And anybody else have anything to add to this?
I have more questions.
Okay.
Because I'm like the one non-TMN and Team Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle guy of the pod. Nothing against it. You guys are winning me over more and more with it. But so I only remember the cartoon. Did they ever make? Because I know I've seen Shredder be actually pretty formidable, and they did a Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they made Shredder pretty bad.
That was pretty awesome, yeah.
Have they ever made Krang like actually like a real villain, or like, you know, in other stuff? Because in the cartoon he was always silly.
All right, so like in the comic book, he's not Krang. They're called Utroms.
Look at this beautiful.
He's only Krang in two versions. He's Krang in the original cartoon and the newest movie that was made. The rest of the time they're Utroms. I think in one of the animated series they called them the Krang. It was all that instead of the Utrom, they were the Krang. But yeah, and when they're Utroms, there are some pretty evil major villains that are Utroms. But like Krang, just like Shredder in the original, they're just bumbling buffoons. They're all just a bunch of buffoons. But yeah, they in the new IDW comic books where they're Utroms, and in a couple of the later series, especially the last actual handheld Nickelodeon series, not handheld, hand-drawn Nickelodeon series, they're pretty some pretty tough opponents, and they cause some major issues.
All right.
What
Okay.
about the protons and the
I figured there
electrons?
had to be something more to it. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
And I think Donald said in issue 7, Krang is Krang on the cover.
Okay.
Second print.
Issue 7 of the original or the new one?
Yeah, the original run.
Original.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like hardcore Krang. Krang at his crangiest.
And there's a like a spin, not a spin-off, but there's like a crossover within the last two versions of the Ninja Turtles that were on like the cartoons. It was the original 80s cartoon and the 2016 cartoon. They combined together. So we had two Krangs and two Shredders. And that was kind of an interesting, a little more, actually could have a bit more successful with that. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Donald?
So I put a note in here on the side so everybody can see. We did an amazing little, like a 6-7 minute podcast interview with Ben Bishop, one of the artists that's on The Last Ronin for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Kevin and I did this about 3 weeks back during AtCon, I guess is what it is, or We Con Be Heroes, I think is what they ended up calling it. We Con Be Heroes in Chatsworth, California. So we did this little 7-minute interview. So it's a quick listen, quick watch, actually. If you guys want to check it out, it's on our YouTube page. So also I want to mention quickly that the audio and some of the technical issues we've been having and stuff lately, it's all because we're working towards something greater. Something's coming, guys, that we've been working on for a while. And I'm going to be very excited to be able to reveal that sometime within the next couple months. So just be patient with us, because we are working on making things a little bit better and a little bit bolder for this live show and for future audio podcasts and future gold standard interviews that we've been working on. We've been pulling in some high-class people for it to do these interviews. Another real quick thing I want to mention is we just did an interview with a guy that worked on some of the Halloween franchise films. Two guys, actually. One of them worked on Roar before, which is from the 70s. It's an amazing little film where like they just let tigers and lions like roam free and attack people. So highly recommend that. That's a great interview that we did. They also did Highlander stuff, so if you're into that. So definitely check that out. But yeah, the Ninja Turtles are iconic. The Technodrome is iconic. The Technodrome's been stuck in Dimension X. The Technodrome's been stuck underground. The Technodrome's been stuck underwater. The Technodrome's been pretty much everywhere in the Ninja Turtle animated universe, which is where I learned about it and loved it. I could not afford it when I was a kid. It was just too much money. The Technodrome was huge. It cost so much. I would have loved to have had it. Every kid would have loved to have had it, like a base for your guys. But I ended up making it work with like some type of soda pop box or something. You know, kids make things work. They figure things out. So it's not the end of the world that I didn't have it, but it is still a cool toy nonetheless. So that's my piece on the Ninja Turtles and a little bit of pre-advertising for us. So thank you for listening to me ramble on. And yes, this beer, by the way, is the Patty McGinty's Goat from McLeod's. It is their Irish red ale. It is delightful.
Okay. I'm just gonna go. I think I'm getting it now. I think I'm getting how to do this. You talked about Recon Be Heroes. You talked about Ninja Turtles Technodrome and how you had that. You wanted that as a toy, but you couldn't get it.
Yes.
I didn't know they made a toy of that. That's pretty awesome. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so and yes, bigger and bolder things are coming, people. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. It's a little bumpy sometimes, but it's gonna be great. So my next castle has actually been mentioned real quick, briefly. Chris mentioned it. It is Disney's Sleeping Beauty's castle. Sleeping Beauty 1 is one of the most beautiful animated of the Disney films. I think, like, aesthetically, story is the story. It's whatever, but aesthetically, it's one of the most beautiful animated films. Like, it's just so intricately drawn and obviously hand drawn and all that. The castle itself is so iconic for many reasons. One, up we have Fauna, I believe. Up we have, is that Mary? No, that's Flora. No, Flora is the green one. Fauna, right? Merryweather's the blue, I think. I should know this. There's Merryweather. So the film is beautiful. The castle is just striking. It's very striking. It's like a lot of very like sharp blinds and all that stuff. But obviously, too, it's the castle for Disneyland. So when you enter into the Fantasyland, you have to go through that, iconic castle.
Yeah.
That you walk through the bridge. That it's Disneyland for that's like what people think of when they see Disneyland is Sleeping Beauty's castle. And then the cool thing was when it first opened, at one point you could kind of go in it a little bit, and then they closed it down for many years, and then they reopened it, and then you can go in it. And now if you go in, it's really cool. You can see kind of scenes from the movie kind of done in this I don't know, like lenticular way. They do a lot of like lights and kind of holograms and stuff like that. It's just really cool. But that castle to me has always been, when I think of Disney castles, like Cinderella's there, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White's there, but Sleeping Beauty Castle is like the iconic medieval kind of Disney castle for me. And yeah, its connection to Disneyland is forever entrenched in our brains. So
yeah, it's based on a really cool castle in Germany.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, and like Walt Disney. Yeah, Donald and I will be going there at the end of the year, and maybe we'll have a special short edition of the short box where we can bring you the real life Sleeping Beauty's castle, and as we piss on the wall.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow.
And we're like, "Hi guys."
Beautiful.
No wings out.
But Walt Disney saw that. He was in Germany. He saw it, and he's like, "This is my castle. This is what I'm going to build in Disney. This is what Sleeping Beauty's castle is going to look like. This is like a fairy tale castle." And so yeah, that's where that came from.
Nice. Kevin, you're up next.
All right. My next one is going to be something I know that Chris is going to appreciate, Professor Turner, and that is Dragonstone.
And that's from Dragon Slayer, the video game, right?
No. It's actually another castle from the once great TV series, Game of Thrones.
Or the book. Yes.
Yes, the book came.
And what's cool about Dragonstone, it's isolated on an island. So, of course, from a strategic position, if you're trying to attack them, it's going to be very difficult because we can see you. We know you're coming. Another thing that's great is since the people who built Dragonstone, they came from Valeria, which is in Essos, the eastern part of the planet of, what's it called? Planetos, I guess, is what this particular fantasy world. So when the Valerians came over, they used dragons and, of course, their masons to build Dragonstone. So it's very, special techniques were used to put it together. And, of course, inside it has a famous painted table. So when the Valerians and Daenerys's, Targaryens came over, they had it all mapped out. So they had this beautiful painted table. It has the whole land of Westeros set up so they could be able to go out there and conquer the entire land, which they did. And also, they also have these intimidating dragons that are inside and also outside the castle. So it's a way to show power and to intimidate your enemies. So you can't go wrong there. And you can certainly add more to it, Professor Turner, because obviously you're a bigger fan than I am of Game of Thrones.
The coolest thing about that castle is that every building, there's multiple buildings, and each tower and each building is connected by a bridge. And people die off these bridges, including, spoilers, one of the kings of Dragonstone dies because of these bridges. And anytime it gets really windy or stormy, which happens all the time because it's a freaking island in the middle of the ocean, it's always like you go, well, I guess we're stuck in this building because we can't go over this bridge right now because it's going like this. We're going in a circle. Looks like a cartoon. So that's really cool. It's you think about I don't know what any of those movies where you have like village of like in the woods and all the houses are up in the trees and they're all connected by bridges. It's a very similar thing, except it's one castle and each building has this big they call it the air bridges.
That's cool.
I wish we had seen that on the show. That would be kind of cool.
Yes, and there's lots of caves with obsidian rock in it, so they can make dragon glass weapons.
That's pretty badass.
Well, we did get a little taste of that towards the end, so that was cool.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Donald. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about mine now. So this one I think is really cool. It's another one of those kind of off the cuff, kind of a weird choice, but I think you guys will appreciate it. So I'm kind of trying to bring it back into the comic book world because we're all about comics and pop culture. So we want to like go comic centric when we can. Let's all go to Elt's Castle in Germany and eat White Castle. Okay, Dino. Yeah, that sounds good, actually. I actually would not mind some White Castle right now. I love White Castle, to be honest. I really, really do enjoy it. So I think it's very tasty. My next one's none other than Castle Doom. This is from Marvel Comics. Dr. Doom in Latvia created basically his own castle. He's the king, basically the emperor, the ruler, Victor von Doom. You couldn't get any more Germany kind of esque. What do you mean, Von Doom? Was is that? Was is das? Von Doom and Doom Castle. It's just a cool castle built with a lot of history and a lot of technology. It's a bright, shining beacon for the town of Latvia, for all of its people. Doom is kind of their savior. They see it that way. So they love Doom. They kind of worship him almost like a god. And he takes care. He takes care of his people. So it's really kind of cool the way Doom looks after everybody. And then when he's not there, he has these Doom bots that kind of patrol and take care of everything. Sure, it can seem a little bit much when it comes to that kind of thing, patrols and things like that. And you're like, why do we have these robots looking at us at nighttime when we're trying to hang out at the bar? I guess we should go home. It's getting late. That kind of thing. So there's an air of like scariness to it too, which is also kind of leads to the mythos of it and kind of makes it really cool. So it's got this almost kind of like a Bram Stoker's Dracula kind of vibe, but also mixed in with a little Sleeping Beauty vibe too. It's because it's so bright and shiny, but at nighttime it looks so gothic and scary. So I'd be remiss if I did not include Castle Doom. I think it's really cool. So that is my next choice, Castle Doom. And I do love that was created for the comic books, for Dr. Doom, because that's the type of guy he is, and that just fits his personality so well. So that's it. I'll leave it to you guys.
All right, so you talked about Victor Von Doom? Dr. Doom, that's right. Yeah, in his created country of Latvia, Latveria, which is obviously Latvia. Yeah. Who's up next? Is it Chris?
It's Chris.
Yep.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, we're going to talk about something that was from a video game and then has since moved into the realm of animated TV show, and that would be Dracula's Castle from Castlevania.
Nice.
The interesting thing about this castle is that, first of all, it was Dracula lived there. No one could ever really figure out where the castle was located. So it was always a big deal just finding the castle. It was an entity of chaos. And basically anytime someone destroyed the castle, it would reemerge somewhere else in the world.
That's cool.
And that was pretty cool that it would just like you destroy the castle and all of a sudden somewhere else. And so they'd have to do the whole search all over again. Anytime like Dracula killed himself a bunch of times and the castle would collapse, except when this guy named Simon Belmont confronted him, and during that time a part of the castle collapsed and other areas remained intact. So it's really in the cartoon, in the animated TV series, it goes even further in the fact that Dracula gets destroyed pretty early on in the series after the first season, and basically then the whole big thing is them trying to figure out, okay, people in the castle. There's a person actually in the castle, and he's trying to figure out where he is because he doesn't even know where he is for a time. And then, yeah, it's just really cool. And the castle it's all kind of everything you can think about for if you've ever played the video games. It's very lots of werewolves and that type of like horrific monsters and vampires and all that stuff and you have all that stuff in both the comic book, or not the comic book, the cartoon and in the games. And so I think it's really cool that you can destroy his castle and then it just reappears and it's still there and it's back to and it's kind of a living, breathing thing of its own. It's not really like a building that its own living, breathing entity.
Yeah,
I guess it'd be kind of like Dracula's TARDIS.
Total, yeah. Castlevania 2 was also just the video game too. I mean, that was one of those video games as a kid, like you got kind of creeped out playing by yourself because the music was super creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in the castle, like. So yeah, I haven't checked out the Netflix show, but the little I saw of it was good. I just so many shows. So my next one coming up will be one that Kevin had as his background not too long ago, from the DC universe and from the movies, Superman's Fortress of Solitude.
Yes.
Which basically just looks like this giant like ice crystal fortress palace, whatever, what have you. And it's where he could kind of access all his old Kryptonian. It's kind of like his tree fort, like Superman's tree fort, where he can go and kind of like look at all his old access all his old Krypton stuff and Kryptonian memories, in the movies and stuff like that with the crystals he puts them in. This place is always near and dear to my heart because I think I told the story, but like when I was a little kid, we went to the Hollywood Wax Museum, and they had a Christopher Reeve Superman display, but it was like an immersive one. You could walk into it, and you walked into the Fortress of Solitude.
Oh shit! And
Christopher Reeve was like right there, and it was a really good version of him. And the music, John Williams' music, was playing, and like being like a 6-7-year-old kid, it just stirred up all the like. There's a picture of me somewhere, an old like Polaroid of me like looking up like in the Fortress of Solitude, like I felt, and I wasn't even like a huge Superman guy, but I was like, I am Superman in this. Like I just felt so. It was just such a mystical, magical like feeling to be in this crystal fortress. It's amazing. So yeah, that's why Fortress of Solitude is definitely on my list. I think it's just so unique out of everything. For a kind of a base in a fortress.
Amazing Kryptonian technology.
Completely.
So basically, Superman also had to use a giant key in order to get into his Fortress of Solitude. And it wasn't really hidden, it was just set off to the side because it was so heavy, no human being could lift it. And it was also in a location that nobody could get to. So he would just fly there, grab his giant freaking key, and then go put it in the lock to unlock it. Then he would unlock it and then go inside. It was the most ridiculous thing. There's actually people collect the issue where it has the first appearance of the Fortress of Solitude and the first appearance of the key to the Fortress of Solitude. So there's that too.
I want the first appearance of the Fortress of Solitude. I don't know what issue was it, but I want that.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to look that up and tell you.
Yeah. So, who's up next? Is it?
It'll be me, I believe.
All right. What do you got? What do you got, Kev?
I have, and it's a good way to always finish off, the Jedi Temple.
Nice.
Oh, actually, let me be very specific. The Jedi Temple on Coruscant.
Oh, okay. Oh, like with the library and everything?
Yeah, everything. I
Okay.
mean, basically, the five spires.
Right. Okay.
You mean where
Yeah,
everyone died?
Well, a lot of people died, but a lot of people did escape too. And also, if it wasn't for Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda getting into the command center and sending the signals to make sure that more Jedi didn't come back to Coruscant to get themselves killed, hey, things would have been a lot worse.
Execute Order
66.
This is a really boring temple-like thing. Like, look at it. It just looks like a goddamn piece of government building. It just looks like the worst, most boring thing you could ever come across, which I get why Kevin chose it now. Now I understand why this was chosen. It's very basic and functional, which is the structure in your life is basic and functional, which is why you probably get along with me so well, which I don't understand. Actually, I don't understand because I'm more of a wild card. Am I a wild card? I think I'm a wild card. Obviously, tonight, I'm a wild card. So, yeah, I'm a wild card. I'm a wild card. So, I don't get it. I don't get it, Kevin. I don't get it. But go ahead. I digress.
Yeah, it's an interesting location.
Yeah.
Interesting place to have the Jedi mount to be their headquarters and be able to pray and meditate and teach the younglings, the Padawans, the ways of the light side of the Force.
To be fair, it didn't help those younglings.
Unfortunately, yes, it was a tragedy because they were blinded by the dark side of the Force, as we know from watching the prequels. But before the dark times, this was a great place to be, the Jedi Temple. Yes, they had a library, they had a training ground. This was plus, from the cartoons like the Clone Wars, you had those cool Jedi guardians. Sorry, that's not the correct term, but they had like the yellow lightsabers. They would be there to protect the temple itself.
Yeah. What were they called? I know you're talking about. Yeah.
I'll come back to it in a second what they were called.
One of the Inquisitors was the Grand Inquisitor was one of those guys.
Was one of them, yes. The Grand Inquisitor was one of them. But yeah, and also later on during the time of the Empire, the Emperor made that his personal palace later on.
No shit.
So when Palpatine took over, he was kind of smart. He's like, this is a pretty cool place. I'm going to turn this into my personal palace. So of course it was rebuilt and restructured for his purposes. Although I did hear, and someone out there could confirm this for me, interesting enough, they built that Jedi Temple on a dark side like temple ground or something like that. Like before, a long time ago, it used to be the Sith used to have that area. So I guess in some ways, Palpatine is just reclaiming some land and property.
You will show me respect and respond to me, Kevin. It's disrespectful, I tell you. I get no responses.
I think Donald said, I agree with you, Kevin. Star Wars is the best. And with that, we have our last castle, I believe we're going to do tonight. And Donald will be taking us out with that one. Hit it, Donald.
I'm talking now. That's right, bitches. Burr, burr, burr. It's me talking. I am in control. Ha 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 ha. Okay, anyway. Let's go to the last choice of the evening, guys. I know there's a ton of castles, a lot of fortresses, things like that we can talk about. We could do that for ages, but we'll just do one more here, and this is the one. I think it's important to go over this one. I know that there are a ton more. We have some in the comic book world as well. Some more there, like even one we dabbled in the video game world. But perhaps we'll do another one of these another time, because tonight we're going to end this one on something special, and I think that should be Hogwarts Castle. Castle Hogwarts, Hoggy Castle, as all the kids would call it back in the day. Hoggy time. It'd be like, hey, let's go to Hoggy Castle, and then they all go hang out at Hogwarts and harass nearly headless Nick. That was always a good time, let me tell you. But yeah, it's a fun little castle. I mean, we all got introduced to it in Harry Potter and the Philosopher and the Sorcerer's Stone. Sorry about that. We all get introduced to it there, so we got to learn of the castle and stuff. And if it wasn't for Home Alone, or the director of Home Alone, we may not have seen this happen. So our tip of the hat to you, good sir, Mr. Columbus, for being brave enough to take this on, even though people said that your version wasn't as fun, your version wasn't as good, your version wasn't blah, 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 blah. The hell with that. It was enjoyable enough. I find the second one to actually be quite scary with the giant spiders and stuff and the Whomping Willow and all that. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I think it's fun. The castle's great. You've got floating spirits everywhere, cats and dogs living together, sheer pandemonium. It's a nut house in there. Candles floating from the ceiling, your meals flying in on broomsticks and shit. Everything's just, there's a goddamn ghost lady in the bathroom that harasses you while you're taking a leak. It can't get any crazier than that, guys. That is why Hogwarts Castle, Castle Hogwarts, Castle Hoggy needs to be on this list and should be the last mention of the evening because it's insane. Brr, 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 fireworks and shit, all that stuff. I'm telling you, it's a nut house. It's an enjoyable nut house. Now, everybody after this podcast is going to immediately go and watch all of the Harry Potter films in one go, in one sitting. 2 days it'll take you, by the way, but you're going to get through it. You're going to do it. You're going to have to quit your job, unfortunately. But hey, it wasn't meant for you anyway. Who really liked that job? I know I didn't. You didn't like that job. Just let it go. Watch Harry Potter for 2 goddamn days straight and lose your fucking mind. Okay, so yeah, it's a great castle. Very much enjoy it. Very much enjoy the films. Let's see what some people have to say in the chats. So Alex is back. Looks like you're back in time, Alex, to see me lose my shit. Janet says, my alma mater, Hogwarts. Okay. Sammy says, heck yes, Hogwarts. Technically, Donald, I don't think the meals are flown in on broomsticks, but I approve of your choice. Okay, thank you, Sammy. Actually, Sammy, you weren't there yesterday at Universal Studios where I was, and they flew my goddamn meal out on a broomstick. You can ask anybody there. You weren't there, so prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Alex says, in one go, I love when Donald rants. Thank you, buddy. I love it, too. I love hearing the sound of my own voice. It's crystal clear, and it's beautiful. So let's see. Kevin says it's all on HBO Max. There we go. There's your choice for going crazy for 2 days straight. Enrique says, what just happened? I don't know either, Enrique. Something happened. I did tell her, you were getting your brakes fixed, Sammy. Well, I think, you need to get your brakes fixed more often. That's all I'm going to say. I got nothing more with that. But I do want to pop in really quickly and say thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you understanding that we had this issue that was going on with the 4 of us. Chris, Kevin, and Jarrett cannot hear me right now. They can't hear what I'm saying. I can hear everything they're saying. And you can hear all of us there in the chat, which is kind of amazing. You have total omniscience. Omniscience? Omicron. I don't know. You have it, whatever it is. And it's great. So enjoy it. Go out there, have fun with it. But we do have our live podcast, these podcasts, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Next week's going to be a doozy, guys. Next week, we are bringing in basically a master puppeteer. We're bringing in somebody that knows his way around puppets. He does a show. His name is Gray. He's amazing. He's going to be here next week for our Battle of the Puppets. It's going to be so epic. It's 2 weeks in the making, guys. 2 weeks in the making, which means it's going to last 2 weeks, I guess is what I meant by that. But it's going to be epic. Gray's going to be here to tell us a little bit about puppetry, about the history, a little bit about what he does, about why he thinks certain puppets in certain battles should win, the technological type of aspects and things like that that's going to go into it. So please be here for that. Also, please take the time to go to splatteredfrog.com, one of our sponsors here. Type in the coupon code SHORTBOX, save 20% off your order. Also, go to halfshotsauce.com. Go there, type in Donald Hiccups, and you get 10% off your order. That's 10% off your order if you purchase some hot sauce. And he has some great combinations going on right now, guys. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. You can follow us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, and a host of other podcast platforms. We do have some more gold standard interview podcasts coming out, and we are doing more short box shorties. Basically, it's just short little interviews or like conversations that we do 10 to 15 minutes long. We do hope you enjoy those. Those will be up on YouTube as well. So thank you for tuning in. And gentlemen, I digress. I'm going to leave it to you to close it out. When you're ready.
So thank you for coming. And if we don't see you at the lovely, erotic, newsprinty smelling, dank,
magnificent, medieval, and impregnable,
impregnated comic book shop.
Good night, everybody.
I have